The gentleman from Fairfax, Mr. Keam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A point of personal privilege.
The gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, this body adopted conference report to the House Bill 460, which was introduced by a gentleman from Scott, Mr. Kilgore, and I was one of his co-patrons, and so I was very happy that the bill came back through the Senate with a strong bipartisan vote of 75 to 22. This bill, you might recall, is the expansion of the motion picture production credit. And even though the bill had originally sought about $25 million, we ended up with a conference of about $6.5 million per year for 2 years. Now, I know in light of the conversations that are going on in this floor, in this chamber, we know that the budget, and we are in an austere time, and we want to do what we can to make sure we're being fiscally conservative and also to make sure we fund our priorities. But this is one of those programs where I really hope, and I think we've demonstrated so far some bipartisanship, because the dollars that we spend in motion picture production, whether it's films or in TV series, actually have been proven to come back in an economically sound way and to the benefit of Virginia and Virginia workers. And so I'm certainly hoping as this conference report goes to the governor's desk and as it goes forward that we could see the governor can protect the funding and maybe even add some more. But all of you will recall, especially those of you who served in the body last term, that this chamber and the seats that we sit in was used as a backdrop for an Oscar-nominated film, Lincoln, filmed and produced by Steven Spielberg. And so many of us were involved in supporting that venture, and we're very proud that Virginia and our capital was highlighted in such a prominent way nationally and internationally. And the fact that when the DVDs came out of those movies, there was also a plug for Virginia tourism, which is something that's very unique that Virginia does in our promoting our tourism, that we actually talk about Virginia and our role in history when we have DVDs made. And we know that the results from the Lincoln movie did produce economic incentives here. We've had something around 23,500 rooms that were filled during the filming. Those are dollars to the local communities here. Of course, 410 full-time jobs were created. Almost 1,200 actors and extras were hired to work in those films, and they were mostly from this area. And about $64 million of economic impact came to the General Assembly through the local revenues and such. And so we know that the movie Lincoln was a success. But the reason why House Bill 460 was so important, and the reason why we asked this body and the other body to increase the funding, is because the way the motion picture tax credits work is once you've exhausted it, you can't bid on the next film, the next TV series. And so currently we have a major production going on just not that far from here, and we've already exhausted every dollar that we already have in our coffers, whereas our neighbors, North Carolina, Maryland, and Georgia in particular, have an unlimited, no-cap matching program for their tax credits. And so Georgia in the last year has filmed about 93 different films, while Virginia has had maybe a handful at most. And so this motion picture production credit is really important. And I just want to end with a little story from yesterday. I, along with a number of members here, serve on the Legislative Tourism Caucus, which is a bipartisan effort to try to promote tourism in Virginia. And yesterday we had an excursion, since we got out a little bit earlier yesterday from the floor. A number of us, including the delegate from Hanover and delegate from Chesterfield, and many of our staff, took a bus and went down to the Richmond racetrack, Richmond International Raceway here, because that 200,000 square foot warehouse has been converted into a very long-term temporary movie set. And for those of you who haven't visited this, I strongly, strongly urge you to come down and visit this place. It's only about a 15-minute drive from here. That production is where the film, a TV series called Turn, has been filmed and is continuing to be filmed today. And many of you know AMC has produced some incredibly successful hits like The Walking Dead, Mad Men, and other shows recently. This one, Turn, is about George Washington's first spy ring in America, and the efforts of the spies during the Revolutionary War that helped us win. And they've turned it into a docudrama, and it'll start premiering in April. And that was filmed 100% right here in Virginia, and using the efforts that we've created here for the tax credits. And so for those of you who haven't had a chance to visit, I'd strongly urge you to contact the Virginia Film Office so you can take a tour of this. But what's amazing is when you go down to the studio and you talk to the folks that are involved in this filming, we're talking about not Hollywood moguls. We're not talking about Hollywood movie stars who certainly don't need any support from the government. We're talking about mom and pop operations, dry cleaners, restaurants, hotels, carpenters, seamstresses, people that are washing clothes all day long for the actors and actresses, people that are actually in the day-to-day business that are working for good paid jobs that are created on a fairly long-term program. And if this show becomes successful at AMC, they're going to film the second series and the third series and fourth series. So Virginia will become a hotbed for these types of productions, but we can't do that without this tax credit being extended. And so just wanted to take a moment of the body's time to tell you the other side of how important this motion picture credit is, and to ask all of you to keep your eye on this as this moves forward. And hopefully all of you will schedule April 6th, Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, to watch the season premiere of Turn on AMC. Thank you very much.